Hello. In this video, I'm going to set up Pro Tools I/O for 5.1 surround sound mixing, as well as configure the session for internal layback. I've opened up, this is the Simpsons project here in Hybrid Mix Lab, and this is your first foray into surround mixing, so it should be fun. Gonna go into setup here and go to I/O. And anything I see in the I/O here is kind of garbage, so I'm going to select all and delete. I just have Option down there when I was selecting. Could also click one and do select Command A to select all. I'm going to hit delete all the buses. I don't need any of this stuff. I'm going to reconfigure it for surround sound. So now it's all that's deleted. I'm going to start my default process. I'll do some default inputs. And my outputs, something new here, because we're going to be working in surround sound, we need to set the default output format to 5.1. This is important. This will make your life a lot easier. And you can confirm that it's the topmost 5.1 routing format. This will match the speaker layout we have in Control-C. With that set up, you can say default, and you'll see at the top that you will see a main output that has indeed the 6 channels required for 5.1. Get to busing, we'll go do default here as well in the bus tab. We're not going to be using any hardware inserts, but you can set it up if you want. Now going back to buses here, Pro Tools only creates stereo and mono buses in the default mode, and I recommend that you create some preset 5.1 buses, just because you'll have them ready to go when you need them when you're mixing. So go new path. And let's make 8 of them. Well, plenty of them are floating around here, and we'll make sure they're 5.1. And here's what's critical. Do not have this auto-created subpaths in. Otherwise, it will make 6 subpaths for every bus you make. That's a lot of extra buses floating around. That can get in your way when you're trying to route things. So make sure you don't do that. And now you can see these extra ones down here. Now, let's, a little different than earlier mix labs in this class, let's actually define our mix and print buses here. Let's have them pre-made for us. So I'm going to name the first one the print bus. That'll be the one we use to go to the print track for internal layback. And the second one, of course, will be the mix bus that will go to the master fader. And reason why I did this is I wanted to remind myself to set my default output buses to always go to the mix bus, so it doesn't accidentally bypass the mix and print track and go right to the outputs. So set your default output bus here for all mono tracks that you create to go right to that surround sound 5.1 mix bus. And you want to do that for not just mono, but also stereo, because you're probably going to be working with some stereo elements, and you want them to go to 5.1 bus. And you may have a 5.1 track. Who knows, maybe like an effects return or something, and that should also go to the mix bus. So now we've kind of set this all up. It's all good. And I hit OK. And let's set up the session for internal layback. I'm going to go up here, go to the mix window, and that's interesting. Yeah, and I'm going to create a 5.1 audio track, so that this will be our print track. And when you go over to the mix window, you can see very clearly that this has 5 meters. So this will be our print track. We will eventually record to this track. And when you print your mix, and your input needs to, of course, be sourced from that print bus we made just a moment ago, 5.1. And I'm going to lock this guy in input so we can monitor through it. And next to it, I'm going to make a 5.1 that was 5.0, excuse me, 5.1 aux input. And this will be our master fader. So I can call it master, whatever. And this guy is going to send off to the print track for recording. So we have to send it to the print track. And it needs to be sourced by the mix bus. And we will Command S, solo saves, or solo isolates, however you want to call it. Now, and I'm kind of ignoring the rest of the tracks right now. I'll take care of that in the next video. But if I were to make a track right now, mono, stereo, or 5.1, there's mono. Let's try stereo. And let's try 5.1. Whatever track or aux send or folder track or whatever I create, they will all automatically go to the mix bus, which of course is solo saved, and this is where you'll put your limiter on it. and that will end up getting printed to your print bus. So this is set up for internal layback. I'm going to delete these 3 here. I don't need them. But I have set up Pro Tools I/O and internal layback for 5.1. Kind of exciting. Here we go.